Hey guys, I wanted to bring you a bit into my world and what the Lord has been doing with me. So right now I'm just sitting here seeking Him, doing research on building a 6-week mobility program for myself that hopefully one day, I believe that I'll be able to share it with Hearts of Transformation and be able to help others who want to become more mobile, because mobility is essential to preventing injury if you're an athlete. It's just good for your everyday life, especially if you are a stay-at-home mom, if you work from home, if you have children or anything of that sort, that we're just required to move our bodies, and mobility training is essential. So first I want to start by saying a few years ago I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and it's basically where your nervous system sends all these different pain signals where you deal with chronic pain throughout your body, chronic fatigue. You can end up in the hospital and the doctors, because of all these symptoms. And so a few years ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I recently got a second opinion and was diagnosed the same thing. Then I decided, let me go to the Lord and see what He sees or says about my health. I asked Him, Lord, what is your perspective? What am I really experiencing? Is it fibromyalgia? Is it something? I'm going to read to you the definition on Google. It says fibromyalgia is a chronic disorder characterized by widespread musculoskeletal pain, fatigue, sleep disturbances, and cognitive issues, quote unquote, fibro fog. It is believed to be caused by an abnormal pain processing in the brain and spinal cord, often triggered by stress, trauma, or infection. Management focuses on symptom relief through medication, exercise, and therapy, and it goes on. But there's widespread pain, constant dull ache, often described as burning or stabbing, that can last for 3 months, fatigue, cognitive issues, sleep disturbances, and other symptoms like headaches, depression, anxiety, irritable bowel syndrome, and stiffness. And I experience 99% of what is on there. Now, the crazy part is that I have Googled this many of times, but I never read the part where it says it is believed to be caused by abnormal pain processing in the brain and spinal cord, often triggered by stress, trauma, or infection. Now, again, when I saw the second opinion doctor, he said, I don't know if your symptoms or what this episode or condition, right? Thank you. The condition that you're dealing with was caused by an infection that you had as a child, because it started happening when I was younger. It started with leg pain, and then it just started going all over. Then I started having nerve pain, migraines, etc. Or he said he doesn't know what would have caused it. Okay, so now going back to me asking the Lord, what do you believe? What do you see? What can you reveal to me about my health? And rather than the Lord saying fibromyalgia, He says, He confirms it by saying a dysregulated nervous system. A dysregulated nervous system. So that leads me into the mobility, right? He has been giving me these building blocks of how to train the whole body, from a place of neuroscience, how exercise helps recalibrate, how exercise helps restore the nervous system as well. And so that's where I land today as far as mobility. But before I continue to go on, I want to give you a little bit more deeper of my experience. So I had gotten this confirmation from the Lord probably about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago max. And I've just been in this space of wrestling right? Feeling sad, processing, that my nervous system is dysregulated. And what he revealed to me, thank you, Father, that it has been results and aftermath of the trauma that I have faced. And I shared about this. I wrote about it on my story before. And so going through a lot of emotional trauma from betrayal, from disappointment, being let down, just a lot of different things. And just that wrestle has been learning how to trust him and partner with him. I think the sad part is that, again, I had received this diagnosis years ago. And I feel like to some degree, God brought me into a faith experience, yet I feel like I just dismissed everything without still taking precaution, without still knowing, okay, there's still something going on that you need to be able to steward your body wisely. And so that means going down to exercise, to what I eat, what I put into my body, how much content and media that I'm consuming, or technology like screen time that I'm consuming, making sure I get adequate sleep, and how all of those areas are dysregulated, are not stable because of my nervous system. And so it's just been hard pressing, it's been stretching, and I'm still, like I said, processing a lot. And so even trying to express to you guys what my experience has been, I feel like I'm not doing it any justice. But I will definitely say that in the midst of the wrestle, I have still seen the goodness of God, his faithfulness, his hand. I think that there have been times the wrestle has been about resisting him and not feeling like I can sit long enough, because again, my nervous system, recognizing that the anxiety or the anxiousness or the restlessness is less spiritual, but it's more physiological, and how I have to be able to look at the physical and not just the spiritual. And I wanted to share something that I learned today while I was studying and doing research for it. So I'm going to read to you what I did. I said, what is the neuroscience behind someone with a dysregulated nervous system fearing structure or planning? So for the longest, right, I have dibbled and dabbled into people's programs, into people's daily planners and etc. Or I've thought about it and didn't buy it, and just trying to plan, and how even the Lord revealed to me that at some point that planning made me feel like experience the fear of failure, or it made me feel like I was being productive. It's just a hodgepodge mixture of things. And so I started writing down for the 6-week program a breakdown, how would I do it? I gave 2 different options. Either I can do 2 weeks of lower body, 2 weeks of spine and posture, 2 weeks of upper body. So the second option was doing mobility 6 days out of the week and giving myself 1 day to rest. So it would be day 1, lower body. Day 2, spine and posture. Day 3, upper body. Rest on day 4. And then repeat lower body, spine and posture, upper body. And then I can do that. Wait, hold on. Yeah, so that would be each body part, would be targeted and treated 2 times out of the week, rather than focusing on one body part for 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks another body part, and then the next 2 weeks another body part. So immediately when I saw the second plan, my alarm system, my nervous system kind of went off, fear. So as I said, it started to make me feel anxious. And this is my little notes. I said, okay, I'm learning structure in this way, how to regulate and to submit to a plan. Repetition isn't bad. Focuses on the whole body, and stretching my perception of capacity. Thinking, this is too much. I don't have the capacity for this. But it will be stretching my perception of the capacity that I really do have. So part of recalibrating, rebuilding, restoring the nervous system, because mine is in kind of like this constant survival fight or flight stance or freeze, right? Is being able to sit with the Lord, bring to him my thoughts, like journal, like express the thoughts that I'm having, whether they are negative or not, and not carrying that sense of judgment or shame because it is a thought that is more fear-based or isn't aligned with God. But now seeking him and asking him, okay, so what are your thoughts? Like, again, help me, Lord, realign me to see and to think as you do. And so in my research, I wanted to share with you what I found that kind of like set this emotion off. Okay, I'm gonna reread what I questioned Google in my research. I said, what is the neuroscience behind someone with a dysregulated nervous system fearing structure or planning? A dysregulated nervous system often fears structure and planning because the brain perceives routine as a threat. God has already revealed that to me. That's confirmation. Triggering a survival response, fight or flight, rather than a calm state. Neuroscience shows this stems from an overactive amygdala, amygdala, fear center, and a hypoactive prefrontal cortex, rational planning, causing structure to feel overwhelming and reminiscent of past trauma. Something made me think of the past as well when it came to structure. With that being said, as I mentioned, I dealt with religion. I was in a church for about 5 years that was structured in a way, and it's had its good times, but it had a lot of trauma that came with it, a lot of control, where it got to a point where the Lord has told my spiritual mom that I was not trusting of leadership. My own parents had failed me, disappointed me, again, in their own pain, and now people that I had called family, pastors that I had looked up to, that I had entrusted my life and my journey with, had totally abandoned and betrayed me. And so so that's like what came to mind. There was a point even where I was on the worship team and I had started dealing with an hormonal imbalance, and it was causing me a lot of headaches. I was experiencing sensitivity to light and to sound. When you're on the worship team, you have the music loud, you guys are practicing. So I really started struggling. And so I asked, can I have a minute to kind of like sit out? And I felt like, along with other things that was going on within the church, how the pastor was treating me and seeing me, it was a level of punishment for not, according to what their standards were, which was control. They punished me by not letting me get back on the worship team. So I think structure has also been associated with punishment, with being withheld from. So now, where does faith come in? Faith has always been a part of it. We cannot separate the two. We were created as human beings with a human body, yet given a spirit, given a new life. Our spirit has been revived. And so now, this reality, right? My nervous system being in that survival response of fight or flight or freeze, a lot of the times, I'm flighting or I'm freezing. And so over the years, I've tried looking for the support on these online programs and online daily planners, and it just never worked. And so what God has taught me is that I need to come to him for the strategy, for the plan, for the blueprint for my life specifically. I will end with this. The reason why I got emotional when I read that, right, was because for the longest, I thought that I had a problem. For the longest, I blamed myself. I told myself that I was lazy. I told myself that I just didn't care, and that just so many negative things. But when you recognize that trauma, both emotional, physical, psychological, can create such an impact on your life, on your day-to-day, and how God is the one who created you. He can recreate, restore not only your spirit man, but your physical body that he has given you to live here on earth. But with him, we are called to steward it. And everyone stewarding their body will look. There is a video that the Lord had given me an idea to do. Don't know if it was for that timing, or if it's still something that he's kind of like brewing, cooking up. But it was going to be titled, "You're Not Lazy, You Are Oppressed." And so, again, it makes me emotional because the sad part is that it's dysregulated. But the hope that I have is that God is like, I need you to take my hand. I want you to take my hand. I want to go through this with you. I want to restore you. I want to revive your life and give back what the enemy has stolen, what life has stolen and robbed for you. And I want to set you apart, and I want you to help others. I want you to help the youth, the young generation, and raise them up in a way that they. So the beauty is that God is not intimidated. He's not intimidated by my wrestle, by my nervous system, by my apprehensiveness. God is still saying, I am inviting you, daughter. I am inviting you, daughter, to be loved by me, to be comforted, to be healed and restored. Like, he is the one that can restore my ability to be rational, to plan, to be calm. And so this week, I have been practicing with just sitting still, embracing that still, quiet space, and letting my nervous system do its thing, but coming into full rest and submission into the Lord, and then my body follows. And so that's the way that I'm retraining and recalibrating with. As a people, we don't want to have to go through the process. We talked about this last night in Hearts of Transformation Monday night fellowship. We talked about how we meditate and we focus so much on the promise, and we're like, God, when are we going to get to the promise? When are we get to the promise? It feels so far, and we miss basking and experiencing him in the process, in the journey to the promise. Like, ultimately, he is that promise, but he has also revealed himself in a whole nother promise. And so I am not excited about the process, because I know that it's probably going to take time. Just like it took a lot of time for my nervous system to be hit, to be shocked, to be just kind of like eradicated. It's going to take time. And I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know how short it's going to take, but it's going to take time that only God knows when it's going to be ready. So, beloved, come with me on my new journey of regulating my nervous system with God, and recognizing that sometimes it's not that I don't have enough faith. It's not that I'm not believing. It's not that I'm not trusting. It's just God is rewiring the way that I think, the way that I see. He's exposing false doctrines, false belief patterns that have been either passed down through traumatic experiences, through false teachings from past churches. God is doing a new thing. And so I'm going to be sharing my journey with you guys a little bit more. I'm going to be sharing about it as well on YouTube, TikTok, because story clips is just not enough. I talk a lot. I got a lot to say.